What's up guys, and welcome to this video. Today I'm really excited because I can finally show you how I'm currently rigging out my PYXIS 6K. And it's not just one rig, but three that I'll be using as my go-to builds both for personal and client projects. And whether you're looking to build your own cinema rig or you're just curious about what goes into creating one, stick around because I'll be breaking it down piece by piece. So this is the Blackmagic PYXIS 6K that was released a couple of months ago. You can find more about the specs and my decision in my unboxing and first impressions video up here. Now, since you have to get some accessories to actually be able to use this camera, I'll be showing you my three most used setups for my PYXIS and what kind of shoots I'll be using each for. First, the full-on production rig, then the slightly stripped down more casual rig, and lastly the run and gun setup. So let's get started. So obviously I'm starting with the heart of the rig and will be building around it to basically fit any needs. First, I'm adding a top and side plate to the camera. These not only offer protection, but also add multiple mounting points for accessories. I've been going with the cage system from PYXIS. To me, this is a perfect fit for the PYXIS, adding enough mounting points while being more affordable than others. Many people seem to not know about this brand, so make sure to check them out. What I'm going to add to the side of the screen is this little guy, and you will see later what this is for. Quick notice, all the parts I'm going to talk about today will be linked in the video description. Some links are affiliate links, which means if you buy from them, Amazon will give me a small percentage of that. This way you can support me and the channel without any additional cost to you. I would greatly appreciate your support. Next, the top handle. It makes handheld shooting so much easier, especially for low angle shots. Plus, it gives me a better and more comfortable way of holding onto the camera, especially when it gets heavier the more we add to the rig. I went with this top handle from SmallRig, which perfectly screws onto the front of the top plate. It also has RE locating pins, which prevents it from rotating. On the side, I'm using this wooden handle from PYXIS, which mounts to the RE rosette on the side here. It's not the most comfortable for my bigger hands, but it's definitely adding style points. Then comes the lens. In my case, it's the DCO Film Vesper Prime 35. But since the lens is PL and I have the L mount PYXIS, I need this adapter, which is the Octopus PL to L from DCO Film, to fit it onto the camera. This is my only lens for the PYXIS so far, but 35mm is a great focal length for most stuff. Though I'm definitely wanting a 25 and 75mm as well in the future, and I'm also interested in getting one anamorphic lens since I love the cinematic look of them, plus the PYXIS offers great anamorphic support. Next, we need some power. For that, I'm adding a V-mount battery. I will be using this SmallRig V99, which I recently bought two of on a sale. But before I can add the battery, I first need a V-mount plate. I'm using this simple plate from KMTV. And what was important to me is that I have a V-mount solution that can easily be added to the rig if needed and removed quickly if not. Therefore, I went with this rod accessory from SmallRig, which simply screws onto the back of the top plate. Then I've added these 4-inch rods to the V-mount plate, and now I can add this plate to the camera whenever I need, and additionally have the option to change the camera's center of gravity by simply sliding the plate back and forth. This is probably my favorite part of this rig because it's just so useful. Now that I've added a V-mount battery, I can power the camera and the accessories, reducing the needs for multiple batteries on a long shoot and for the ability to hot swap batteries. If you don't know how to hot swap batteries on the PYXIS, you will have to have an additional BPU battery in the back of the camera, and when the camera is powered by your V-mount, then you can just simply swap to a new V-mount battery. While swapping, the camera will alternate to drawing power from the BPU in the back and will then swap back to the V-mount once you have put on the new one. Also, having multiple devices connected to the V-mount makes hot swapping harder if you want everything to keep running when swapping. For monitoring, I'm going with my 7-inch video assist from Blackmagic. I'm choosing 7-inch most of the time to make sure I have a clear view of what I'm shooting. Also, a bigger screen is a game changer for framing and focus pulling, and this just simply mounts to the front of the top handle on this NATO rail. This monitor is also capable of recording. I have yet to make use of this function, but it's nice to have as an option. Especially because the PYXIS can only record in B-RAW. With this recorder, you can also record in ProRes or H.265. We've already come a long way, and this rig is starting to look really professional already. But to look even more professional, we have to add a matte box. For that, I'm using the Tilta Mirage matte box with drop-in variable ND. But not only does it look better, it also serves an important purpose. As you might have all heard, the PYXIS does not have built-in NDs. So to fix that, you could either get a specific lens adapter which has ND filters built in on the back of the lens, or you can just simply put on a matte box with drop-in variable NDs like I'm doing on my rig. After that, I'm also adding my follow focus system to the front of the camera. I'm using the SmallRig mini follow focus, and to mount it to the cage, I have this little rod holder, also from SmallRig, which simply screws onto the front of the top plate. Then I can add this 6-inch rod, which I will mount the follow focus to. Finally, what the rig is still missing is professional audio. Good audio is as important as good visuals, and this setup ensures that I can capture clear, high quality sound while also having a backup track. First is the shotgun mic as my main audio source. This is the Rode NTG5 and I really love its quality. This makes it a perfect overhead microphone for interviews or for any documentary work, because shotgun mics will record mostly what's coming from the direction it's pointing at, while strongly reducing sounds coming from any other direction. As my backup solution, I'm using a wireless mic setup with these Rode Wireless Pro combined with lavaliers, and I'm mounting it to the side with this hot shoe. Now this is looking like a proper production rig, and if I want to film from my shoulder, I can just add a shoulder mount. The one I have is from 8sin and I love it. The whole camera rig just slides onto it, just like that, with the tripod plate I've already installed on the bottom of the camera. This has the perfect size for the PYXIS, adding even more mounting options to the rig, and has a really good quality and feel to it. I mean, just look how well that fits together. Additionally, I have the option now to add 15mm rods onto the front or the rear of this to add other accessories. I'm using rods on the front for this lens support piece from SmallRig. This will ensure that heavier lenses will not wear down the lens mount of this camera. The only issue I currently have with this shoulder mount is that I'm missing the VCT receiver plate, so I can get this whole rig from my shoulder to the tripod without having to remove it first, but for now it's not that big of a problem. Now before we move on, let's connect all the necessary cables. If you're using SDI, make sure to always follow the SDI protocol, so you don't risk frying your SDI pod. So make sure it's the last cable you put in, and when shutting down the whole rig, make sure it's the first cable you disconnect. So the only thing missing to this rig is video transmission. I'm planning on getting the Holy Land Pyro transmission kit with the 7-inch monitor that also has a transmitter and a receiver built in. Other than that, this is pretty much a complete build. But before I forget, what's most important is protecting the side screen when transporting this camera. That's where this little guy finally comes in. I have designed and 3D printed my own little screen protection with my logo on it as well. It can simply be put on and off by just sliding it in. Additionally, it can also be fixated with a screw, so the cover doesn't go off during transportation, and this also looks really nice. Now, as mentioned in the beginning, this is just a full-on production rig, which I would only use on bigger productions. However, there are two other setups I have for this camera that I would use for different locations. If I want a more stripped down version for smaller or personal projects, I'm using the casual rig, switching to the 5-inch monitor and the BBU batteries for a much lighter rig overall, keeping mostly everything else except for the shotgun mic, but I still have the wireless mic. But if I would need longer battery life, I can just put the V-mount battery back on. And for the last setup, I made a run and gun style rig. Though going run and gun with the PYXIS isn't quite the easiest, that just means going as minimal as possible while still providing the most important aspects of a cinema rig. For this one, I chose to get rid of the top handle as well and mounting the 5-inch monitor directly onto the cage. Next, I got rid of the follow focus system because I will be pulling focus straight from the barrel. The side handle stayed on, and of course I'm going with the BBU batteries here as well. Now when it comes to audio, if I want to record professional audio in any way, I will just keep the wireless pros. Instead of the matte box, you could go for screw-on ND filters, but since I don't have any, I will just stay with my matte box. Though you don't necessarily need one if you're okay with stopping down your lens to keep the exposure right. I will use this kind of setup for personal projects or smaller content shoots where mainly handheld is needed. But if I would like more comfort, I can just put the top handle back on. And that will be my run and gun type of setup. The good thing with this modularity is that I can change specific parts how I want to and how I need the rig to function. So these 3 different rigs don't necessarily have to always be built like this, but rather are the base idea of a specific use case that can be easily changed to fit any need. For example, let's say I'm on the more casual rig, but I know that I will be shooting for the next couple of hours, so I can just add on the V-mount blade and don't have to worry as much about the batteries. Or let's say I'm in a multicam production on a mobile camera, then I would take the run and gun build and just add on a transmitter so I can send out my video feed. Or I'm only shooting on my shoulders, then I can just put this on the shoulder rig. With this, there's just so much versatility and you can always prepare according to your next shoot. When it comes to future additions for this rig, there are some accessories that I want to upgrade and add in the future. I definitely plan on getting the 5-inch PYXIS monitor to replace my old Shinobi 5-inch. The PYXIS monitor only uses one cable and lets you control the whole camera, making it a must-have for any PYXIS owner. Besides the transmission kit from Holy Land and the lenses mentioned before, I'm also looking to invest into the DJI Focus Pro system to add autofocus to this beast. That would be a game changer for sure if this rig also had autofocus capabilities. Well, that's it for this video. My fully rigged out production camera setup, as well as other variations of it, and all the parts that I'm currently using on my PYXIS 6K throughout multiple projects. Again, I try linking all the parts that I'm using in the description below. If you found this helpful or you're planning to build your own cinema rig, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what you're working with. Also, if you enjoyed this video, consider giving it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hitting that bell so you don't miss any future content. Thanks for watching. Until next time.